Snappy! Oh my gosh, 33. Yeah, that is a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to the stream, Snappy. Welcome. We're gonna play some marbles today. I need to do all my notifications though, so bear with me, bear with me. I need a second. I had to come say hi. Let's see. Let's see. Catch the fear crow, guys. Book catch. You can also go ahead and get on the track, guys, if you're lurking. Hey, I caught it. That's weird. Usually takes a bunch of people in here to catch it. But thank you, Snappy. No, not that. Push all the buttons. Yitsy. Don't need that. Let's go. Let's see. It takes so long doing all my posts. I tell you. And then I like hope I don't miss one. I think I got them all. Hmm. Oh, not sponsored, but Scooters is giving away free elf charms tomorrow if you have a Scooters near you. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing you have to buy a drink. But yeah. I probably have enough points that I could get a free drink and still get my charm. I just have to get up early enough. That might be an idea. I think I will do that tomorrow. I can look forward to getting up. I get a free little charm and I get free coffee. That sounds like a good start to a Tuesday, I think. Depending on who shows up, we might change what we're doing tonight if we don't have enough marbles, because I don't normally stream on Mondays, but I used to a long time ago. I used to stream every Monday. Called it Monday Marble Madness and streamed all the time. Now I think a few other streamers do that and call it that. But I'm here. I could add a little thing to this screen. I wish I had my art camera set up because then I could like work on art while I wait, you know? I don't know. Just wing it, play it by ear. And see how it goes. Oh! Alright, let's see. I'm gonna add like. Whoa, I think I just heard myself. I did. Okay, now I'm muted. I don't want to hear myself. Alright, I'm gonna run a quick ad break. Figure out my stuff. Shocked Pikachu! Welcome. Welcome, Splits. I do have the track up. If you want to be the first person on it, you know, you could be. You totally could be the first person on the track. But happy Monday. No, Michigan beat you. Look at that. I tried to give you the opportunity to be first, but Michigan was like, nope, I'm stealing it. Nika, Nika, Nee. Welcome, Dash. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See, I mentioned running an ad, and then everybody jumps in here. They're like, nope, wait, we're here, we're here, we're here. No ads, no ads. I have more drop space for speed. Redeemed first, Michigan. I mean, you can claim that for sure. You're definitely first. It doesn't feel like Monday. It feels like it should be Sunday or something today. Today was pretty chill. I was productive, got things done. I didn't have to put out any fires today. That made work better. Dash, redeem Santa hat. I got you. Okay, well, we have a couple of them. So I'm going to give you an option. I don't know which one you redeemed. Oh, you did pink. Okay. There's the pink one, and then there's the tiny one. Here, hold on. So, but you did pink, so I should get the pink one out. But yeah, I have a pink one, I have a red one, and then I have the tiny one that I can wear with ears. I wonder if I could wear the pink one with ears. Let's find out. Second! Good job, good job. Proud of you guys. There we go. Very kawaii. Niku thank you. And then, can I put the ears on? I don't know. This is kind of awkward to figure out. And it helps that, doesn't help that I'm doing it in reverse. Yeah, that's not gonna work, I don't think. I mean, maybe? Okay. There we go. If I can, they're crooked. There we go. Cat ears and a Santa hat. That's cute. I like that. I like that. All right. And then I can still like flip my hat if I decide I want it on the other side. I don't know. It looks weird that way. Or I could just like can't see me now. It works. Thanks. Thanks. Welcome everybody. Welcome to stream. I'm glad you survived Monday. Barely, right? Barely. So, we have 3 whole people. I could join the race, but that's kind of cheating. That makes it 4. We'll give it like 1 more minute, and then we'll start all these races. Give 1 more minute for people to trickle in, and then we'll hit start. But yeah. How is your Monday, guys? How is it? I was gonna do, I know what I was gonna do. I think I was trying to add, yeah, I used to do this. Add like a little mini version of the game, just so people know that yes, the game is up, and yes, I'm waiting for people to load in. Ah, don't move the Christmas lights. Jeez. Got too much stuff going on. Too much stuff not locked down. Let's see. The light should be locked. There we go. And that is... Where is that? Don't move it up. Move this up. There we go. Gotta wear one now. We don't need to see the game. All right. I think it's been long enough. I'm gonna hit start. So that means there's 1 minute on the clock for you guys to join. 1 minute. Oh, check out my shirt. I got this shirt, I think, on sale last year at the end of the season, and I just thought it was cute. I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but it says, "My favorite color is Christmas lights." So I thought that was pretty cool. Like, it kind of works being an artist because I truly do love so many colors. Of course, my favorite is, you guys might not know it, but it's actually green. Even though he used lots of pink and purple, you guys would probably guess purple. Purple's my second favorite color. That's green. Christmas is the OG RGB holiday. It is. I like that the Christmas ones I have are kind of like lighter, kind of like pastelish. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, Poketch. Let's go. Get my feet in the chair so I can get yelled at for a bad posture. Make sure I'm not running over my blanket. Splints is taken off. Showing us how it's done. Oh, no. He lost the lead. We won't talk about it. There we go. I like the wood color of this map. Was? Yeah, I jinxed you. I think I jinxed you. I said something. I'm kind of curious what this whole map looks like, though. But I'm stuck in it. Let me out. It's not real long. I like it, though. I like the colors. We won't talk about that. Exclamation play, guys. Exclamation play. To get your marble on the track, guys. Exclamation play. And we'll give it a second again for everybody to get in and join. But yeah. Hey, I got the Pokemon. Thank you, Dash. So, if, big if I have energy this week, I might do a cooking stream. I'm trying to decide how much energy I have. I'm probably putting too much on myself, but we'll see. We'll see. I kind of want to make some cookies. I need to make them anyway for work. So I was like, I could just stream making them. Because I'm going to be making them anyway. I might as well stream it. 6 inches of snow? That's a lot. I'm guessing. I don't know. Is that a lot? I hear me saying it's a lot of snow, and yeah, I don't have snow, so I don't know. Clueless. We should do one of those cooking with friends games sometime. Yeah, that would be fun. We did a cooking one before, but it's been a while. Welcome, Dusty. All right, I'm starting this race. There's 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute. Hurry, hurry, hurry. My lights kind of cover up all this. My decor at the top of the stream. I don't like that. Not that one. Not that one. That one. There. I'm gonna take that down temporarily because I didn't like it covering up the time and everything. All the point system stuff. I don't mind if my face covers up a couple marble. You guys can just guess what number 15 and 16 are. You just have to guess at 15 and 16. 16 is the green tennis ball one, and 15 is the Mad Bull, if you're curious. But I just, I'm just in the way. See? Oh, I go to show you, and it's gone. I told your roommates about the assault janitor reviews. I'm glad they were amused. That was so funny. We should have got a clip of that. We should have. We should have clipped that. That would have been great. Let's see. AJs. Need to hire some more AJs. They were stealing. They were totally stealing Orange Supermarket Simulator. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's see. Dash is in the lead. I may have just jinxed him. AJ 47s. Is that the number we assign to brooms these days? Those are some fancy brooms there you got. GG Dash, GG. Sinister effortless trial. Too bad you couldn't change like your broom skins to something else. That would be great. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. Exclamation play. Hurry, hurry, hurry. So I got gifted this really cool puzzle. I was thinking that would be cool to stream too, but it's probably complicated. And of course it's cats. It's a wooden puzzle. And it's cats. Isn't that so cool? It comes in a wooden box. It's only 100 pieces. So it wouldn't be too detrimental for me to handle. Right? You can handle that. Are you sure? Yeah. I wonder how big it is, though, and how tiny the pieces are. Maybe we should open it. I thought it was a really cool gift, though. All right. I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the stream. Exclamation play. Oh, you know, I know where some sound commands are I could be using. I forgot. I have things like this. I just don't remember which one it is. Oh my god, if I accidentally push like the wrong sound, it's gonna be terrible. I don't know. I used to have them saved, like to do certain ones. This is a buzzer. Let's see what it sounds like. We don't want that. I think you can hear that. Discord notifications. There you go. I'll just randomly do this during the night. You'd be like, whose Discord am I hearing? It's not me. It's not me. Air horns intensify. Yeah. I hate that one, right? I think that would be the point. You just like randomly have it going off and you don't know who's doing it. Oh yeah, that was just mean. I feel like the door knock one is just mean. Yeah, Discord is kind of funny mean and just more annoying, but the knocking one is just mean. Too much trauma involved with that one. I'm ready to open it. Made of natural balsa wood. I've muted the Discord join leave so no one knows it's not. So I know it's not mine. Yeah, and when I'm streaming, it's muted, so I don't hear any of that when I'm streaming. So you guys wouldn't be hearing mine anyway. Let's see, my hair's a mess. You see nothing. Marble downhill. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Let's see. All right. Why is there so many sound things? Anyway. Here's the box out of the package. Can read all the things. Sorta. If it focuses. But let's see. See how it opens. It kind of opens like a panel comes off the cover. Oh, some of the pages are trying to escape. There's like a little pouch here, and they're all trying to escape. So look. Oh, it's got an easel? What the heck? Look, it's got a little easel. So I wonder if it holds its shape afterwards and you put it on the easel. That's cool. Yeah, I really wish my art camera was set up right now. I kind of want to work on a puzzle while I do marbles. Let's see. I started the clock though. 60 seconds. 60 seconds on the clock, guys. Let's go. What does this one sound like? Oh. There you go. Wow. Let's go, guys. Wow. Get your marble on the track. You got 30 seconds. But yeah, I'm sure some of these pieces are shaped like cats. I'm just not sure which ones. Oh my gosh, some of them have designs on the back. Like this one's a flower. So on the back, it's a flower. Here, hold on. There, can you see though? Camera, focus. It doesn't want to focus, but yeah. It's a flower. There we go. We'll put it by my face and you can see it better. It's a flower on the back. That's so cool. And then trying to see if there's any other ones with pictures on the back. There's gotta be a cat in here. There's gotta be a cat-shaped one. That would just be awesome. There might not be. You're gonna win, watch. Maybe. Leslie's got the lead so far. I'm trying to separate this one. This one's stuck together. I'm just gonna leave it. I get to cheat on that one. Oh, there is one shaped like a cat. It's so cute. There's the kitty. But yeah, he's shaped like a cat. It's so cute. I knew I'd find one. Oh, this one Rain would like. It's a little witch's hat. So we've had a flower, a witch's hat, a cat. What else are we gonna find in here? GG Michigan! Michigan got first, Daisy second. Radiant Adventurous Beauty. Exclamation play. Let's go! I wonder if my computer would freak out if I tried installing the art camera right now. Probably. I'm not even sure the software is installed at the moment. Now that I think about it. Oh, look! I found a tulip. Little tulip. Alright, I'm gonna start the timer on this clock. Starting the timer! I just like that one. Wow! Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track, guys. Exclamation play to join the race. Also, poke catcher for catching Pokemon. Da, 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 da. This is so cool. Oh, I found a butterfly. The butterfly. Special pieces. These pieces just have really weird shapes too. Like, you're like, that should be something, but it's not. It's just unique, very unique shapes. Like, this one I feel like should be like a gecko or something. I don't know. There we go. That way you can see your marble. Alright. I need to schedule this for a puzzle stream, but I wonder how long it would take me to put together. It's not, like I said, it's going to be a complicated puzzle. It's not going to be simple. Because these pieces are just weird. I mean, the pieces are wild. It's not normal. Which is kind of nice, considering it's 100 pieces. You would think that it would be super easy, but I don't think it will be. Those are cool. Thank you! And I have yet to confirm who this is from yet. This was a gift. I don't know who it's from. I think I know, but I haven't confirmed it yet. So yeah, you know, like, people can get stuff off your wish list. At least it'll have edge pieces. I hope so. But if it's shaped like this, the edges are going to be like a little bit round, but it's not going to be completely round. Could be hard then, yeah. Next, because I didn't see any edges glancing in here. See if I see any edges. Yeah, it's gonna be the frame. Like it's pictured. It's gonna be like, that's an edge, but it's curled. So that one was easy, kind of. So there'll be a few I can find that are pretty easy, but it is rounded. So yeah, I'll just have to start with the edge looking pieces, but then you got, yeah. Yeah, right? It could have just been like all swirly all the way around the edge. At least I know there's like a picture frame design too, near the edge. Alright guys, you got 58 seconds. Exclamation play to join the race. Oh, I bet I know what this one sounds like. Exclamation play if you want to join this race. You know, this was a very nice get. This was cool. To put the lid back on here. Oh, I'm putting it on upside down. That's why it wouldn't go on. I was like, why doesn't it go? It'll only go right side up, I think. But then, like, if you had a bunch of these, they could put like a book spine. I bet they have multiple designs. See? It's pretty cool. Oh, it's got the size on there too. 8.5 by 8.2. See. Da -da -da -da. All right, we have Michigan in the lead, followed by Splints, Cat, and Desi. Who will it be? Oh, I just heard my back just felt so good. Y'all guys can't let me beat you. Go Michigan! Go, go, go! Desi, look at that. GG Desi. One more race, one more race. Charming, joyful slide. I feel like a slacker today. I usually have lots to talk about and I never hush. It's Monday. What can I say? My brain feels slow today. Let's see. I don't know if you guys play Cards Against Humanity much, other than those that I know that have played with me, but they now have a Cards Against Pokemon deck. Not gonna lie, that kind of sounds fun. Cards Against Pokemon. I wonder if they have that in the digital version that I play. Probably not. Oh, geez. So my week's been a little better, by the way. The plumbing issues have been resolved. That was fun this weekend. Nobody doesn't, I don't know anybody that enjoys having plumbing issues with the water not running right. Or, yeah, draining right. I decided to wash laundry and it backed up into the sink. That was really gross. So after it was fixed, I spent the evening bleaching the sink. Yeah, very yummy. It's not what I wanted. Okay, have any of you tried the pickle fries, shaker fries at McDonald's yet for the Grinch meal? The pickle flavored shaker fry things? They're actually really good. I've bought it twice. And it reminds me of how Japan has those different seasonings that you can put the fries in and dump them in the bag and you can shake it. I was like, we're finally getting something like that here. So they were really cool. I've had to stop eating fries. I don't blame you. I need to stop eating fries, but fries are bad. They're very bad for you. Just in general. I tend to eat every fad that comes along, and I really shouldn't. It's like, that's how they get you. They want you to try everything. GG splits! Mostly the salt in your case. Yeah. They're just not good. The chemicals, the saturated fats, the sodium, they taste so good, but they're so wrong. All right, here's the Grand Prix, guys. Drum roll. I bet I'm on the podium, and I can't help it, and I'm sorry. Third place goes to Splints. GG with the cute little sheep. Beep beep. Beep beep, I'm a sheep. Goes to Splints. Second place with Skylar Heart Marble goes to Michigan. And first place. Why did I have to be top of the podium though? I wouldn't mind being third. Poor Desi. Desi should be on the podium, not me. Axum leaving. I bet. Desi or Dash should be up there, not me. Let's see. Who else can we do? Let's see. Try to play some of the ones we hadn't played yet if they're not awful crazy long. Uh, 1% falling off isn't too bad. J3! Love the hat. Thank you so much, J3! Thank you. Just cat. No! Activation play though. Thank you. Yeah, I put my ears on with it too, so thanks, J3. How are you doing? I hope you're doing awesome. good. I didn't get to stream yesterday, so I was like, because I've had like a migraine almost every day, past couple days. I blame the weather. But so I was like, I'm gonna stream tonight. I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a long time. Flashback to Marble Madness Monday. And just see how it goes and what happens. So I'm here for a little bit. Yeah, I still have a little bit of one. I can still just feel it, like, oh, right behind my eyes. But hopefully it stops and goes away soon. Look at you, J3's pink. He's got OG VIP colors. So there you go. Now you can see. You're pink. Exclamation play though, guys. Exclamation play if you're getting on the track. Exclamation play. 59 seconds on the clock. Playing 103, that would be a high number. Also, poke catcher for catching marbles. Or catching marbles. No! Catching Pokemon. Welcome, Jockey! But how are you, J3? I hope you're doing good. Hope life is treating you well today. Wow! Shocky just comes in and uses a cup to play marbles. Like, how fair is that? Just come in and use a cup that says let's go. Not OP style at all. Let's see. What is it, J3? Yes. Let's see. Let's give J3 a shout out. You streaming tonight, J3, or are you just relaxing? Guys, go click on that link. Give him a follow. He plays lots of community games. Always there for his viewers. They hang out, they play, they do lots of fun things. Almost every day. It's cool. Oh, this is a big track. Look at that. But welcome, guys. I keep catching all the Pokemon, and I think that's gonna last until... That's what I was just fixing to say. That is gonna last until Artist gets here. I've been catching Pokemon all night, and I was just fixing to say until Artist gets here. Then Artist will be catching them all. Timing, I know, right? Time to end. Artist is here. Time to run away. Rip. I cannot catch back out of Pokemon Go, and it's driving me nuts. It's for a challenge. Oh no. Oh, you have to like go chase it down. That's aggravating. Hello there. A Monday stream? Nice. Yes. A rare, random flashback to Marble Madness Mondays. Welcome. Welcome, my ghosts. Just don't look at the winners. I can't help it. Only here for a few minutes. That's okay. Thank you for stopping in for a few minutes. Thank you. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up Go. Let's see if I get a bag on right away. That would be hilarious. Ranked. It is ranked. I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't see anything. Next race. No hacks here. Alright. Alright, I need a bag on. Let's see. Nope, no bag on. I do have a bunch of eggs hatching though. Like 4 of them. So we'll see what we get. Hi, Jamie! Oh my gosh, welcome, Jamie! Let's see all the eggs. I don't think I've been on there today. Can you tell? And then it should pop up any second for my Monday thing. There, claim Monday. All right, guys, exclamation play to get your marble on the track. There is 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Hi, Jamie. It's so good to see you. I was thinking about you today. I was like, I miss Jamie. Jamie streams early, and I tried to catch you today. I think you were off and on like multiple times today, or you were testing something or something, and I was like, I need to say hi to Jamie, but I have not been able to catch Jamie's streams. Good to see you too. Yeah, click on that link, guys. Go give Jamie Whammy a follow. She is awesome, amazing, super sweet, super kind, and lots of fun. But go check her out, guys. Go check her out. Please, please, please. All right, got 10 seconds. It's about to start. Better you don't see me play Silk Song. Oh, that seems like it's dangerous. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Ooh, there goes Jamie. But yeah, no bag on J3. No bag on. This new little guy, though. Nasil or whatever. I caught the first one of those the other day. And this is the second one I've seen. Now you're making me wonder what challenges I gotta work on. Let's see, yeah, I got 2 Pokemon I gotta catch. I gotta catch that monkey one there, and then I gotta catch the seahorse there. So I've got 2 to finish those 2 challenges. And drive me nuts too. I think it's been that way for a few days. And when's the last day? 1 day left. 1 day left. I don't know if I'm gonna get them. So I go from talking about puzzles and playing with a puzzle to playing Pokemon Go while streaming. Terrible. Thanks for the lurk, Racing Tank. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you're doing good. Hope Monday's treating you well. All right, let's back up. There goes Jamie coming in for a second. We'll sit right there. Or maybe a little sideways since my face is so big. Okay. Yeah, no background. I caught all the ones that are here. Is that an older challenge you're working on? Or current? Might be an older one. I have lots of older ones that I need to complete. But GG Michigan, same to you. How's your head feeling? It's feeling better. There's still a little bit of a headache, but I'm like having to deal with it every day, so just kind of pushing through. It's when it's so bad that I get nauseous that I'm like, okay, no, I'm not dealing with that. It's newer for me. Okay. GG Michigan. We have Michigan, Jimmy, and Kat with points. Let's go. Next race. Exclamation play. Don't feel bad, J3. I have this many incomplete ones, so I mean, I have lots of incomplete ones that I gotta work on. And then completed, I've actually done quite a few. Those are all the ones I've completed, like the longer research things. Yeah, we won't talk about that. That's how much I play. It's still going. I mean, I have been playing on and off since 2016, and the game has changed 100%. Totally different game since then. It's been reskinned, I don't know how many times. The mechanics reworked, the new game options within the game, the new communication options within the game. It's been fun to see it grow. Thank you, Jamie. Haven't played in so long. Yeah, you probably wouldn't recognize it. Let's go, guys. Let's go. 46 seconds. Get your marble on the track. 46 seconds. I'm scared to push some of these because I don't know what they'll actually sound like versus what they say they sound like. We'll just stick with the wow. I only played for a short bit during 2016, so I can only imagine. Yeah. I enjoy when my friends in Belgium played too because we could send each other things. That's so cool. It's fun to have people from other countries because then they can get you on raids from other countries and get Pokemons that you don't have here. I was lucky enough just recently they had like I forget the name of it, but this new little fish Pokemon, and they have 3 color variations of it, and they're like in 3 different regions. And I was lucky enough to have a friend visiting Japan to get the Japan one, and then also a friend like over in EU to get the European one, and then of course I helped them get the US one, which was great. But that doesn't always work out that way. Let's go. All the marbles. We have 7 racers now. Let's see. Let's see which one. I was gonna pull up that little fish, but I don't remember what he's called. There's so many new Pokemons. I used to be really good at all the names, but I've kind of stopped playing it the last few generations. Eventually I'll get back into it. It's just so time consuming. It takes a lot of dedication. This track is a little wild. Not gonna lie. BattleCat, welcome to the stream! Exclamation play, guys! Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Let's go. Hurry, hurry, hurry! Let's see, where is that fish Pokemon? I wish I could just say fish Pokemon. Okay, it's Tatsugiri. Tatsugiri. Let's see. Oh, you're not even gonna be able to see him. He's so tiny. I was gonna show you, but he is like so ridiculously tiny that you're not even gonna be able to see him. Way beyond the OG 100, right? All right, I'm starting the timer. 1 minute. You cannot see Tatsugiri. He's that small. He's so tiny. But that's the pink one. And then a swipe, and then it's the, hold on. Then it's the yellow one. That one's from Japan. I put JP next to it. And then there's the orange one. So he's so tiny though. I like want to zoom in. That would be my only complaint is I can't zoom in on the screen and look at the Pokemons. Yeah. Tiny little guy. Here we go. It was part of a water festival. That's what they look like. Cute little guys. What about the brown one? There is no brown one. Margareta Dera? What? What? You never got that one? Yeah, it had 3 different regional colors too. So there's the curly form, the stretchy form, and the droopy form. Whatever that means. Maga Tetra, but it's just a joke, lol. I mean, you're gonna make me Google it, and that could be bad. Poke catch. Splits, you need more balls. You need more, apparently. We won't talk about it. Alright. Fire. Space, 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 air. Magikarp. Oh! Okay. This one's planets. Kind of looks like Dragon Balls down there or something. Alright, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. That's my sound for the night. I like it. Apparently they have shiny forms too. Artists, you need more balls too. You guys both need to buy them. If you're wondering how to buy them, this is how you buy them. Oh no, it's not. Oh no, it escaped. There. That's how you buy them. You do exclamation poke shop, pokeball, and then like whatever number you want to buy. So copy and paste that if you want and buy some more. Shop Great Ball 10. There's the easier with the widget below the video. That's true. There you go. All right, I'm hitting start. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Get your marble on the track. You got 1 minute. 1 minute. There we go. Shop best balls. Good luck with that, Michigan. Good luck. This poor Pokemon is basically sushi. He's basically sushi on a bed of rice. 22 seconds, guys. Exclamation play. 22 seconds. See? He's sushi on a bed of rice. There you go. Trying to show you without getting the glare on it, but yeah. Yikes. Yeah. He's gonna get eaten. Good luck, guys. Good luck. Good luck, good luck, good luck, racers. They do tend to make cutesy characters out of food, right? Like Vanillite and stuff. Ice cream cone ones and such. Just look it up. Food Pokemon. Let's see. I don't know, some of them are scary though. There's some cuties. Tamago. There is no... Is there a Tamago Pokemon? No. Not yet. That's like the egg roll. They make all kinds of egg-related characters for things. That is true. GG Michigan! Congrats on your win! GG! Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track, guys. Exclamation play. Let's see, who can I find that's cute? That's food. There's so many of them. I don't even know where to begin. Somebody's made up one that should be Dumplinks, and it's cute. All right, I'm starting the race, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. Exclamation play. 1 minute on the clock. Let's go. You know how they have the Lynx Pokemon that's like a centipede looking knight thing? Well, here's a Dumplings. It's Dumplings. Those are cute. That would be cute. Let's see. That would be cute. Somebody's interpretation. All right, guys. Let's go. KimonoKat. Shocky. This one's colorful and very dark. Tiny Christmas hat. Got it. You think I need an air filter? There's a lot of dust floating through the air in my camera. What? Gotta go. Glad you're feeling slightly better, at least. Have fun. Thank you, Race and Take. Dust. Oh, the snow. Oh my god. I'm so slow. Yeah, I can't breathe. It's dusty in here. Oh, you had me though. You had me. It was like, what? All right, tiny Christmas hat coming up. And shoulders as I'm doing this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, now it's dandruff. Just really floating through the air now. There we go. To lower my chair a little bit so you can see the top of it. There. I wouldn't recommend wearing black. Can you see it? Can you see it? Does it show? Oh yeah, guys, you were here at the beginning. Check out my shirt, it's cute. It says, my favorite color is Christmas light. I thought it was kind of cute. I was like, fits me being an artist. GG, Shocky! Maybe white? GG! Congrats! Shocky, Jamie, and Splints with the points. You love it? Thanks. Good thing it's just snow. It will melt. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's just snow. It'll melt. It'll melt. See it. Play, play. Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track, guys. Exclamation play. And then, what was I saying? I don't even know. Don't even know. Play. Don't judge me. I don't know what I was talking about like 5 seconds ago. I feel like a squirrel. Squirrel. 5 seconds ago, I was talking about something. And I don't know what it was. You guys might know, but I don't remember. But alright, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute. Should I try one of these other sounds? I'm scared. I can look up a specific sound. Like, here we go. There we go. Pika pika. Oh, what? I don't even... God. Okay. Yeah, there you go. There's a new one. Pikachu. That's so loud. At least it was on my end. Don't worry, it was mine too. I was not expecting that volume level. Oh no, and I just muted my sound and I can't hear anything. How did I do that? I muted my music. Just the music. Apparently I can hear everything else though. Good job. Let's see. Oh, I actually stopped the music with my... I just touched my ear. Don't do that. Don't touch your ears. These ears. Go Battle Cat! Show us how it's done, man. Alright, let's zoom out. I want to see this thing. Twisty, twirly, swirly gumdrops. All the colors. What do you need ears for, Michigan? Alright, guys, if you haven't got into the cute little bongo cat phase, like the bongo cats at the bottom of my screen, they're adorable, by the way. And they have an advent calendar right now, just saying, for December. And you can unlock all these different skins just for December. Let's see if I can move this thing where you can see it. Might have to move my cat now. Okay. Why can't you see this one? Hold on. Bongo kitty. There we go. I'm gonna unlock it for a second so I can move it. See? It's a cute little advent calendar. And you get one for each day. And you can always get the ones you missed too. So you get little different skins for your to decorate your bongo cat. It's really cute. I've enjoyed doing that. And I gotta bring the cats back. I put them over here. And then all your friends can join you. And Bongo with you. It's cute. It's adorable. It's just something fun to have going on there. You can change their little outfits. You can make them look different. You get all kinds of different gear. They're cute. And then, like this. Do the Christmas thingy. That's cute. Alright, we're gonna come down here because y'all are getting closer to the end. This one's quite the long track. Poke catch? That's a good idea. Poke catch! But in the end, it doesn't really matter. Alright, let's go. J3's OG. He should be good at this game. He's an OG. I hate that it puts me below the track. Once somebody goes in the basket, it just drops me below. I don't like that. GGJ3, congratulations! We have J3, Michigan, and Jamie with the points. All right, we're gonna do a Grand Prix. Let's see who wins. Who gets third, second, and first place. Third place goes to what? I didn't even race the last 3 races. I swear, I didn't even race the races. Oh, I caught a shiny. A shiny Pokemon. Second place goes to Jamie! Woo! First place goes to Michigan! GG, Michigan! I know, right? Which is funny, because I was literally just fixing to say I just caught a shiny one of those in Pokemon Go the other day. And then I caught a shiny one on here. That's crazy. I don't have that many shinies. I think that's like my 3rd in this game. GG, Michigan! Yeah, all the hype for Michigan's win. There you go. Or Rage, you know, whichever you prefer. Let's see, we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and go for this one. Oh, there we go, we got it. Okay. Maybe? Yeah. Let's see what else left. We'll do this one. Why are they all so log? There we go. Play. I want a sub or pizza sub sandwich. Sounds so good right now. Exclamation play though, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Let's see. Okay, so it wasn't that exact one. I think that's the evolved, and I got the unevolved. If I'm correct. That's the shiny one I got and go. There we go. He's so cute. Alright, starting it. And I'm not doing Pikachu sounds. It's too loud. Stage play. You have 40 seconds. Let's go. Oh. I just got the seahorse, the scrulp one I needed, J3. It's sitting here. I'm gonna be able to complete one of my quests. Look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna be able to complete one. Oh, don't run away. Don't run away. It broke out. Hold on. I say that, and it's gonna try to run away on me. It better not. Yay, got it. And then I can complete that quest. This one's gonna take a hot minute because everybody's gotta get through the blockades. Yeah. That was the Scarlet Collection. I get to complete the Scarlet Collection. Who knew? Who knew? Now I just need that other one. What? Boban's worm is just creepy. I would have never thought of putting my face on a worm's body and making it an emote. People are so creative. Right, Jamie? Right? And then on top of that, it's one that counts as a marble. It basically means exclamation play because it's one of the... I don't know what it takes to qualify to be one of those emotes right now. You have to be probably in the top 10 for the season or something. So is it top 10 for the season, Shocky, to get one of those emotes to count as a marble? Or is it like top 3? What is it currently? I know the rules changed. Exclamation fart. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know, I saw one of those sounds a minute ago. Here you go. That was for you. You have to pay now? Oh wow. It used to be like if you won each season, you got it. But yeah, that was really gross, man. That was really gross. Mm-hmm. Desi! GG Desi! Congrats, man. Congrats. We have Desi, Shocky, and Splints with points on the board. Next, we go to... Is that Precise Yeet? Is that what I said? Yeah, Precise Yeet. Exclamation play! Oh, this one's pretty. But this one looks like it goes pretty much in circle, straight down. Circle, 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 circle. So don't get yeeted. Don't get yeeted. I think that's the goal. Don't get yeeted. Firestar, welcome. Something like you have to sub to Pixels Tier 3 and pay to have your emote in the game, and it's not cheap. Jeez. No, thank you. I'll skip it. I mean, if you stream enough that it paid for it, maybe. But yeah, I'll skip it. You haven't seen my feet for a while. Is that a request? Do you need socks? It's a Halloween redeem with the gremlin socks. I think that was the last time. I still have them, I promise. It was my fault last time. Hey, at least they had socks on. 1 minute on the clock, though. 1 minute, let's go. I do still have feet, I promise. I mean, I could display my brand new Grinch socks I got from McDonald's. Just so you know, what our hats is being feet pics. Somebody's got to. And so you'll send me those toe bean pics. Just cute, adorable kitty cat toe bean pics. They were out of them for when I went. Oh no. You're out of feets. No feets available. Nice, I'm jealous. Oh, you're jealous? Oh my gosh. That's why I have the pizza toes emote now. Oh my gosh. Because you guys and your feet things. So Firestorm, enjoy the pizza toes emote. Enjoy it while it lasts. That was a stream thing. There you go. That was late night shenanigans. I don't want to. Late night shenanigans and AI. I'll have to stick with my Grinch slippers for now. Oh, they were out of the socks when you went. Yeah, they might be out of them already. The shaker fries were good though. The pickle flavored shaker fries. Beans, yes, toe beans. Everywhere I see you, feet. No. All right, I'm gonna go get my socks. Hold on, Mr. Mo. No, stop. Here they are. These are my McDonald's Grinch socks. I've got 2 pair. They're actually really nice quality too. They're really thick. I figured they'd be like flimsy, cheap socks. They're not. They're really nice socks. These came in the adult Happy Meals when I got my pickle fries. They're actually really heavy duty socks. Did I saw here someone say send all the big toe pics to Mono's DMs? No, please don't. Ew, no. You can share amongst yourselves, but don't do that to me. Don't subject me to that. If you talk with KimonoKat. We're talking about the quality of socks you can get in a McDonald's Happy Meal. These are really nice. Not gonna lie. They're actually really nice socks. I have not tried them on yet. That will cost you. No, I'm just kidding. Did you my feet pics? No, only toe beans. Only kitty cat toe beans. Nastier the toe, the better. Oh, gross. No, please don't. Please don't. I don't need toe. I don't need to ban you because your toes are weird. Just kidding. Watch me wear them on my spicy side. Shucks. Ooh. Ew. Ooh, socks. There you go. Firestorm got first place and he's falling like infinitely now, I think. Or no, he's just, yeah, he's falling infinitely through the bowl. You got a world record! GG! I call hacks. Yeah, the world record is like marbles wide. You got the highest, the fastest score yet on this map. That means you just are the best. That's what that means. You're the best in the world for the moment on this track. That means you just got, oh my gosh, look how many points he got, guys. Holy cow. You typically get like 10 points or something. He got 1,090 points. Mission Gun got 892 points. Jamie got 694 points. Holy cow. Does he win a trophy? Right? He wins a pair of socks. Incoming feet pick. Just kidding. Yeah. No, they're brand new. Not worn, but yeah. She's gonna do it. Sorry, Mono. It's too late for the toe picks, DM. What? What scam? So they have to, oh, so they have to be worn first, and then I can send them to you, Firestorm. Apparently those are the rules. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I just work here. Just kidding. Must be sent to. I need your address, Firestorm. He's never gonna give me his address ever now. It's all your fault. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Exclamation play, guys! Exclamation play to get your. I'm dying. I'm dying. Oh. But yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing awesome. Oh, it's good to see you again. Good to see you again. Bought a PC. That's awesome. New PC hype. Don't look at your DM from me, Mono. I don't want to. I'm scared. I'm scared to look at my DMs right now. Alright, I'm gonna hit start. You got 1 minute on the clock, guys. 1 minute. Let's go. Nice. So what we playing? I have to have it set up over my bed. Oh. I'm going to play Where Winds Meet. Ooh. No, no. I wouldn't doubt it if I have them right now. I'm scared. I'm scared to look at my DMs. You guys are gonna freak me out. Don't look. Okay, I'm not gonna look. I can't. But yes, modeling these beautiful socks for you tomorrow. Just kidding. If you're just joining me, we're talking about the Happy Meal socks from the Grinch socks. And they're actually really nice quality. They're really thick. They're so cool. I've gotten 2 of them, and I've enjoyed the pickle fries. I am talking about feet, apparently. Christmas socks. They smell like sugar cookies. We could shove some cookies in them and send them to the Firestorm. Chat, should I send cat feet pics? Please cast a vote. No voting. No voting for feet pics. Cookies and feet go well together, right? Cookies is my theme on my stream. We talk about cookies is my currency. Why don't we just combine that with feet? Who needs little gift bags when you could just use socks? I could have a cookie exchange group and you just put a couple cookies in each sock and then you exchange them. Right? And then you have cookie scented socks. Feet toastery smelling like fries. Yeah, pickle fries to be exact. Pickle fries. If I wear socks, I wear 100% wool. Ooh, nice. Are they like super warm? Pukes everywhere. Michigan. I'm so sorry, Michigan. Oh. Oh my gosh. How I miss Monday night Marble madness. It kind of gets out of hand. It's great. It's great. Desi! Desi. See, this is the normal points. 12 points for Desi, 10 for Jammy, 8 for Shocky. That's like about the normal points you get. But 1,000 something points, that's because the world record was beat. Guts, guys, chat. I sent her a feet video. No, you did not. I'm scared. He did. No, I'm not looking. He did send me a message. I'm not looking. I refuse. I will show everybody on stream your feet video. Is that against toss? It might be, I know, right? I'm scared. Feet picks might be against toss now. I gotta be careful. I don't want to break the rules, guys. This is not a pools and hot tub stream. I might not be able to show feet. You know? Who knows? All right, exclamation play, you have 39 seconds. 39 seconds! Where's the sound I had earlier? It's gone. There it is. 20 seconds. Researching now. Feet pics or it didn't happen, right? I'm scared. If streaming, Batman can stream without shirts, feet should be okay? I don't know. Feet have been sexualized. Why don't we just get your reaction and open it? I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. It's probably toe beans. If it's toe beans, you're gonna hear a big aw. If it's not toe beans, you're gonna hear a ah! That's what you're gonna hear. I hope it's toe beans. Alright. No, it's totally my gut. G-foot. No! I don't want to see that. Okay, alright. Here we go. Just remember, paybacks. Paybacks. Everyone want to task. I want cat toadies. This is paybacks. Called puke or cute game, right? It is. Is it gonna be a cute DM or is it gonna be a DM? Yeah, you need to put some socks on those things, man. I I got some socks I can send you, and I can make them smell like cookies, if that helps. I had a sock one. But I said nude feet. Oh no, I went from first to last. No! And Wendell's coming in with a pizza toes. Yes. Alright. First place, Michigan. Alright, is it Keith? Am I saying it right? I hope I'm saying it right. Keith, Firestorm. There you go. Third, Rainbow Road. Yes. Words are hard, so I'm glad I got that right. Sometimes I assume I know what it is, and then I don't. And it's bad. There we go. Exclamation play. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. Exclamation play. Hurry, hurry, hurry. All right, I'll start the timer a little bit faster this time. Since we have humans here. Let's go. Exclamation feet. No, you don't want to see feet. You don't. You don't want to see feet. I can't believe you did that. I need toes. I need not. I don't really need toe beans, but I need cat pictures. Kitties are so cute. Firestorm has the cutest two cats. They're so adorable. And one is super sweet. Feet, or I'm leaving for 2 seconds. No humans here. There aren't the humans you're looking for. These aren't the humans you're looking for. Yeah, no humans here. These aren't the humans you're looking for. Donut pics? Oh, I would like a donut right now. Donuts sound delicious. All right, good luck, everyone. Good luck. Good luck, Firestar, Battlecat, Jamie, Michigan, Keith, Splits, and Wiggles. Oh, it's bouncy. Bouncy. Let's see. See. Plotting. Plotting. Jammy Whammy! GG! Michigan's marble is on steroids. Jamie, Firestorm, and Splits with the points on the board. The next map is Twisting Rainbow Road. Exclamation play, guys! Exclamation play! Ahoy! Or is it Ida? Ida. I said ahoy. I totally reversed all the letters in that. All right, I'm gonna join and I'm gonna start. I'm putting in my hacks. Calling it. Let's go. I'm calling it. I put in my hacks. We'll stand up a minute. I'm gonna send you more VX. Okay, I won't use hacks. I won't use hacks. Don't try to be like that. Poke catch. Silly Twitch. It's just a casual conversation about toe lengths. What? Did you look it up? Did you look it up? Did you look it up? Is it against Toss? No, Firestorm did. Oh. Did I miss it? Oh, there it is. I did miss it. Says feet pics, vids on Twitch. Okay, casual, incidental, avoid a feet cam, long close ups, or anything framed as fetish paid reveals. So you can sexualize any body part and it would be wrong. It's just feet. My second toe is longer than my big toe. Mine too. I have long toes. I used to pick up tennis balls with my toes when I was younger. When I was a kid, I'd pick up tennis balls with my toes and throw them for the dogs. You know how your dog like slobbers all over the tennis ball and it's gross, and they want you to keep throwing it, and the ball gets slimier and slimier and slimier, and it's just so gross you don't want to touch it. Well, I'm like a little bit of a germaphobe, so I would just pick it up with my toes and throw it that way. I didn't want to pick it up with my hands because it's so gross. She threw toe knuckleballs. Yes. So I can also pinch with my toes pretty good. I got all the toe exercises. More than you needed to know. All right, Cat, Keith, and Michigan. Let's go. Contortionist toes. I pick up things with my feet and toes. I'm good at it. I'm a monkey. See? It's like you just pick it up and hand it to yourself, you know? So you don't have to bend over. I mean, I guess it's kind of lazy, but depends on what it is. Making sure I didn't miss anything else in chat now, like going back and looking. My second toe too. Maybe I should send that to Mono. No, don't send me no feet pics. Don't need any more feet pics. It's called efficient. That makes sense. I used to paralysis killed all that. Toe picking up for me. Ah, sorry to hear that, Keith. Boatman! Oh no, there's a boatman present. I guess I should start this race then. I kind of got distracted. I blame you guys. I blame you guys. Oh no, I should never get on the track again. Cat picks if he win. Yes, I need kittens in my life. Let's go. Good luck, guys. Good luck. Okay, I'll send kitten pics. Yes. Yes, please. Boatman doing good. Boatman doing good. I hope so. Lobo Man. Oh, Bowman's probably alive. You have a cold today? No, that's not good. I hope you feel better soon. Guys, go click on that link. Go give Bowman a follow if you have not done so. Bowman plays marbles. He does tilt too. If you're into tilt. And he does regular. Poor boat booty. Let's go! Who's got the hacks on? Whoa! Splits. Splits and Shocky with the hacks. Get up over this bowl here. Feel better, Bowman? Yeah. I do hope you feel better soon, man. Being sick is the worst. Splits, GG! We have Splits, Shocky, and Michigan with the points on the board. Okay, this is the final Grand Prix. We don't need no tilt. I need points. Unfollowing now. Not, yeah. Tilt is no points. All right, guys, drum roll. We go. Third place goes to Jammy Webby on the podium. GGG. Second place goes to Michigan with the Mad Cow marble. She's a mad bull. First place goes to Firestorm for breaking the world record and getting all those points. He should be banned. Just kidding. GG. Congratulations, Firestorm. I'll take it. Yeah. You cheats. You got hacks. You got the world record, man. You got a total of 1,106 points. Whereas you look down here, little old me, I've got 18. 18 points. Y'all top three right there who finished top three in that world record race got all the points. Yeah, you won. That means you get feet pics. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Bobby is my OG brother who love giving a hard time. He is great. Yes, he is. Boatman's awesome. Toss, right? No. I am not. I am not. I'll be good. I'll be good this time. This time. This time. Now I could send you cookies, but not in socks, because that would be weird. Let's see. I could send you Christmas cookies. Let's see. All right, play. Meanwhile, it's just a pick or two or more feet on a ruler. True. They'll be extreme close up. Like you'll see its baby hairs, follicles. One pore. There you go. You can't tell if the pore is from the face, the foot, or where. It's just a little tiny pore with some fuzz. The belly button from the game. Yes. Okay, we had this one wild night where we decided the Final Fantasy character's belly button needed to be an emote. Yeah. It was a thing. So we took the Final Fantasy character and we cropped down just to the belly button because we were being silly and we were going to have a belly button emote. Discord banned it. It wouldn't let me do it. It wouldn't let me do it. It said no belly buttons. No Final Fantasy character belly buttons allowed. It's not allowed. I'm gonna send cat toes close up. I'm sure that was what it was. Okay, this is an 18 plus stream. We all know what 69 is, but the younger people have 66, 7. What the hell is 6'7"? That is the question streamers are asking. I mean, you don't know. I'm not gonna tell you. Look it up. But yet, it's not tossed to zoom in on a belly button. Discord says it is, apparently. Belly button pics Simona's demons? No, I googled it. Nobody needs to ask about 6'7". It won't help. Yup. It won't. 6, 7, 8, 9. We won't talk about it. Thank you, Wiggles. Thank you for gifting Keith a sub to my channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the craziness. Ta-da! Desi is in the lead. Oh no, I forgot to race. It's okay, it's okay. You'll catch the next one and you'll get a world record and you'll steal all the points. Wiggles just hacked into KimonoKat's stream with the 28th gifted sub. Your generosity is more powerful than any Kimono Hack's spell. Thanks for making the Marble Madness even more epic. Let's keep the fun rolling. Nice. At least it didn't talk about feet. Oh god, I was waiting for that. Those AI bots read every conversation and start including them. I was just waiting for it. I was waiting for it. Da, 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 da. Go in there. Let's go. Oh. Wiggles with the win. Yee! GG Wiggles. Gotta zoom out here so we can watch everybody fall into the ring here. Slow is the progress. New video I sent you is a winner. Okay, it better be nice. Better be nice. Or I'll block you. No! What is this? KimonoKat? No, I do not love beats. You're so messed up. Oh. I'm going to start a hyper zoomed knees stream on Twitch. Yes! All the knees. Chicken dinner. I'll send you the paper. GG Wiggles, and thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you for the biddies. Oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. 500 biddies. Holy cow. Gift redeemed tiny Christmas hat. Got you, got you. I think you'll appreciate it. Oh no. Let's see, Wiggles, Desi, Shocky. Congrats on the points. Let's get on to the next race. Let me go back see if I missed anything. Hold on. What did I miss? I think I'm good. Think I'm good. Pizza toes. I don't need more pizza toes, Michigan. All right, exclamation play, guys. Exclamation play. The kitty pics are cute, though. Such cute kitty cats. Kitties are adorable. Why can't I see everybody? Hold on. Zoom out. It's like, I know there's people in here. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Let's go. 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute. Bent elbow pics. Yes. So which side do you take a picture of? This side or this side? Just the elbow. You guys are terrible. I'm gonna get a strike from Toss for rubbing my elbow. You got your wife a retired show rabbit. It's huge, 13 inches of ear, 12 pounds. Oh my gosh, I bet it's gorgeous. We need to see this rabbit. We need to see this bunny. Oh, I thought I hit start. I hit start. Jeez. She's blue. Her name is Mischief. Oh. Sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful. I don't know if I added that. Did I get a chance to add Discord back to my new commands because my other bots broke? I did not. I need to add it to my commands. Because the other one broke. So you just have to join from my panels. Down below the stream, click Discord. If you want to join and you're not already in there. You're about to get a black female, another retired show bunny. Aww, collecting all the bunnies. Are they super sweet? You let them run around the house? Or do they have like their own room? What's just Discord do? You just diss people? Yeah, that's it. That's what Discord is. Kitty Fly has been caught by Cat and Splints. GG. Totally what you do there. You just diss people. Let's see. All right, we're gonna come down here and watch up close. There we go. It's BattleCat Splits J3. Woo! There goes BattleCat. Followed by Splits. Ah! See, it puts me right under the ball. Jeez. Jeez. Let go of me. All right, I'm gonna look for my commands real quick. I did set up some commands in this other bot because the other one was being a pain. Now I just gotta find out where that was. I don't remember. BattleCat though, GG! We have BattleCat, Splint, and J3 with points. Let's get on to the next race. Snappy Happy Land? I wonder if Snappy knows about this place. Snappy Happy Land. Exclamation play to get your marble on track, guys. Exclamation play. You have 1 minute on the clock. Let's go. Gonna lurk. Says, not around the house, but they have indoor cages. Aw. She's litter trained. The one in 2 days. Aw. Thank you, Firestorm. You have a good evening. Snap, snap, snap. Drink water. Got you, man. I got Gatorade. Thank you for the drink water. I need it. I've been talking too much. Yes. Take care, guys. I'll send the pic for you. Wash your feet. Aye, aye. Good hygiene is important. Definitely don't need pizza on them toes. You guys are nuts. Go, go, go! Let's see. I think that's where it's at. Aha, I found it. I can add one. Add a command. I'm gonna do Discord. Exclamation. Oh, geez, if I can type it. Exclamation Discord. So you can come be dissed, apparently. Oh my god, my DMs. My DMs are. We won't talk about it. I asked for it. Oh god. Oh jeez. You guys are nuts. Just saying. GG splits. GG. I thought I already made one of these, but I guess I did not. Okay, now Discord is a command. Woot woot woot. I can't unsee things I've seen, and I won't talk about it. Splints, Firestorm, and BattleCat. GG. Next, striking boost jumps. So now you have Discord. It's a link. It's a thing. And of course, you still have Snack and those other ones you can use right now. Also, play to get your marble on the track. And 35%? Maybe. Tacos. Let's talk about tacos, though. 96 carne asada street tacos. Oh, I want tacos. Exclamation play, though, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. You have 1 minute. Let's go. I'm losing all my buttons. Michigan ate 56 tacos. Holy cow. Yes, taco emotes. Michigan is 73% special. He's definitely more special than I am. Look at that. Yes, exclamation play, guys. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Get your marble on the track before time's up. Let's go. Thanks. And then we have, what were the other ones? You can do artsy, exclamation artsy to show how much of an artist you are. But yes, there's special, there's snack, there's artsy, there's Discord, and tacos. That's what we've added to the list right now. Whee! Look at Michigan go. Sneak. All right, we're putting the chair back down. Oh, I'm running over the rug and making a mess. Stay, rug. Stay. Whoop. Ah. Plural. 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 Special as in plural special? Specials? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean, plural? What did I miss? What did I say? More like it. Who knows? Words, 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 words. All right, we have Michigan, KimonoKat, and Shocky with the points. On to race 5 of 7, cleanup concept. Boop. All right, exclamation play to join. I heard snack for some reason, but I want a cookie. Aw. Cookies would be good. Cookies would be delicious. 99 carne asada tacos. I think that's like the most you can eat next to 100. I think it only goes up to 100. Jammy? They were having an eating contest and they broke at a tie for 99 each. That's what happened. We were hungry. Yes, definitely hungry. So half of you are eating cookies and the other half are eating tacos. Okay, which I don't know if you guys heard me earlier, but I'm thinking about doing a cooking stream this week. I may do a cookie cooking stream. Oh, words. May make cookies on stream. Do you know what tis means? It's the sprinkler thing, right? It's like when you make the sprinkler noise because you make the sub go like extra long with Flint's has decided to eat one carne asada street tacos. Flint's only got one because you guys ate them all. You ate them all. That's my problem. Jamie and Michigan ate all the tacos and left one for Flint's. One. Just one. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. This guy's like in a hot tub here. Check this out, guys. There's a bathtub. Oh no! Read that. Read that. Read that. And then yeah. Yeah. If you see it, you know, you know, you know. Rub a dub tub dub. Read the words underneath behind my picture. I dare you. I dare you. Hold on. Hold on. Let me move my head. Move my camera. Okay, read the bottom of the screen. Goes with the cleanup message at the top. No, thank you. Oh, marbles. Only marbles. No more feet pics. Okay, don't do it. Alright, let's see. Don't do it, Shocky. Don't do it, Firestorm. You guys are trouble. Alright. Shambug. Shambug's beautiful marble-tastic adventure. Let's go. Oh, wow. That is cool looking. It kind of reminds me oddly of like the Bumblebee Transformer out of nowhere. Exclamation play though. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys, though. Exclamation play. Let's go. Michigan is waxing his marble. Yeah, I'm gonna put my hack soon. Gonna yeet somebody. Gonna boost. Let's program all the things in. Let's get ready. Let's go. You kissed yourself. And the hugs. Let's see. Start back up here. Let's go. Let's go. Desi's taking the lead here. Maybe. Oh, is he off track? No. He's just taking a different path. Oh, Splint's isn't having it. Splint's taking over. Also, Pokecatcher, guys, if you catch Pokemon. Surfetched has appeared. Surfetched. Team reindeer antlers. Oh, I forgot to do the little hat. I'm behind one. Somebody did redeem the little hat again, too. I could do both. Let's do this. Let's do both. Reindeer antlers and little hat. We'll make up for it. We're gonna do this. GG Splits! GG. Alright. Splits, Cat, and Shocky with the points. Next is Slow Chilling Garden, and this is the last race of this podium. This Grand Prix. There you go. Okay, the little hat's like completely crooked here. Trying to do this and pull it off, but they're all the same shiny bedazzled look. Not working. Hold on. I'm making a mess. I need to wash my hair. Welcome to the stream! Exclamation play, guys, to get your marbles on the track. Exclamation play. 1 minute on the clock. Let's go! Bloody, you made it just in time for all the feet jokes. Just saying. Bloody is 87% a snack. Can I put it behind it? No, it doesn't really work behind it. There we go. But yeah, we have antlers and a hat. It's only permissible when it's Zach. Uh-oh. What? I don't even know. Thanks. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, guys. Let's go. Okay, so I got the antlers. And I know somebody did a little hat a while back. Yes. Somebody did, I think. And I missed it. And I got the drink water. I don't know. I'm seeing things. Now open the door like that. Yeah, I'm gonna order DoorDash and then open the door like this. Hello? Hello? It probably would not surprise them. They'd probably just be happy I had pants on, you know? Christmas cat? Yes. Unsee? No, wait. I have pants on. Ignore the headgear. Be thankful. I don't think I can handle DoorDash. I wonder how many times you ring the door with somebody's food and there's like somebody like nude there. Like, or just the bath towel or something. Cat in a cat suit open the door? Yes. In reference to your name being Mr. Plintz? Oh. You normally don't have pants on when you're opening the door. We won't talk about it. We won't. I mean, what you do when you have pants or don't have pants, maybe you have shorts. Maybe you have a dress. Maybe you have a skirt. Maybe you have a towel. Maybe you have a bathrobe. You know, that's up to you. I'm not going to judge. Welcome to the stream, Six. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Stick with that story. Right? Sounds good, right? I've answered the door in my birthday suit once, but it was because I didn't want them coming back. I've heard of people doing that. I totally have heard of that. Bloody, look at that. You got that. That's a cool dice. That is cool. I like it. I like it. Bloody with the points, Wiggles, and Keef. All right, are we ready for this? Are we ready for the Grand Prix winner? Let's see who wins. Third place goes to BattleCat, which I am surprised. Usually BattleCat is stealing all the wins. This is the first time I've seen him on the podium all night. Welcome back, BattleCat. Splits with the sheep. Beep, beep goes the sheep. Welcome, Splits. Second place. And first place goes to Wiggles. Wiggle. You gotta wiggle now. I can't figure out how to do this wiggle thing. There we go. I'm gonna do some wiggles. GG Wiggles. It would be easier if I was standing up. Her body likes to wiggle. I like the gummy bear. That's so cute. GG guys. All right. Okay. Next is. All right, Shaki. I'll check it in just a bit. All right, let's go. We'll do this one. This one. And this one. Let's play. Commence the jiggling. Wiggle, jiggle. Nice. Jiggle. Let's see. Do. X-Space play to get your marble on the track, guys. X-Space should play. Hold on. I heard you were. What? What did I miss? Glad someone got it. Happy time. What? You guys are up to no good. I look away for 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Welcome, cat. Anytime. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Ay, ay, ay. Na, 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 na. All right, let's go. This is the first race of this Grand Prix. We have 7 races. Who will be on top at the end of these 7 races? You have all made it into this one, so keep that in mind. You're getting points. Let Bloody win. Battle Cat passed you. He's sneaky like that. I'm telling you, he's back in it. He likes being on the top of the podium. He's very sneaky. We'll see what happens. I did not. Wiggles! Wiggle didn't get into Wiggle. Poor Wiggles. I'm gonna have to try. Alright, we're gonna look at this stuff. There's like snowmen and presents everywhere. And snow. Lots of snow. Alright. We have Battle Cat, Keith, and Michigan in the top 3 for the first race. Alright, next one. Don't be left behind, guys. Don't get left behind. Abducted. Let's go. Pick of Wiggles' house covered in snow. Probably a picture of a lot of houses right now covered in snow. Exclamation play, guys. If you're lurking and listening, exclamation play. Get your marble on the track. Let's see. I need another monitor. I never have enough monitors. You ever feel that way? Alright, I think everybody's in that's gonna be in. You got 11 inches of snow? Holy cow. Okay, I'm off to bed. Thanks for the fun, chill, toe, sock, toe bean times. And pizza and tacos. All right, Jamie, thank you so much. It was so good seeing you. I always love it when you stop by and you say hi. You're so sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope to catch one of your streams soon, and I will talk to you later. Have a good sleeps. Carne asada, you ate 99 of them. You're definitely gonna need to sleep now. Yeah, you missed the toe beans. Oh, Bloody got left out of the toe bean situation. Poor Bloody. But yes, good night, Jamie. Oh, and then I think I gotta, I can't remember. Did I give you a shout out yet, Bloody? I don't think I did. Ta-da! 99. Left toe beans. Holy doodle. Arigato. Arigato gozaimasu. Yes, you are welcome. You're welcome. I don't know how to say you're welcome. Let's say tacos. Wow, this track's gonna give you whiplash. Just saying. I can't watch that. Jeez. It's crazy. Oh, wow. Bloody uses attacks. Just saying. Woo! Badger, badger, badger. Silly little slithering snake. Yes. Yes, have room for tri-tip. Whispered in your ear. Oh my. Oh my. Alright, we're just waiting on Battle Cat. There we go. GG, Blood. Bloody is one, like... Again, look at that. He's trying to compete. Let's go. Colorful, absurd activity. That sounds like stream right there. Colorful, absurd activity. Exclamation play, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Let's go. 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute. What's that sound like? Didn't do it. Lies, I'm special. Sounds kind of like my life. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, did I do poke catch? I don't think I joined in on the poke catch. Gotta catch Pokemons. Gotta catch them all. Keith is 96% special. Ooh. Look at that. Alright, what's the snackage out there? What's the snackage? I'm only 53%. You guys can totally beat me. More special than me. Nice. Let's go. This is kind of cool colors. I don't know what they did to design this. It's like, oh, it looks like all portals or something, but it's not. It just kind of looks like them. All the swirls. People like the rainbows. They're so pretty. Wiggles is 53%. Bloody is 34%. Keith is 58%. I think Keith is winning. Ew. Gotta check on the nums. Don't win too much. Ooh, what kind of nums? We need photos. We need pics. Need yummy pics. I was 72 and I'm keeping it. Then it sounds like you're winning. I'm more snack-like. Splint's 93%. Wow. I'm most snack-like. I'm chocolate. Wiggles is like a gummy bear and you're chocolate. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Next to socks, I prefer. Oh my gosh. All right, Wiggles, here goes Wiggles with the win. Woo! GG! Why does it do this to me? Don't do that, camera. Followed by a bowman. Ta-da! Wiggles, GG! Snack for the night, going wild tonight. Oh, I'm getting hungry now. I'm blaming you guys. I need food. I need food. Decent rolling wonder. Just did. Alright, 1 minute on the clock. Let's go! Exclamation play. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Alright, I'm gonna put in my hacks. I need some hacks. Where's that? Where's that? There we go. I need some hacks. There we go. Put it in my hacks. No! Wiggle's hacks are bigger than mine. I think he's gonna win. Mine are sparkly. It's bigger than mine. You! He's cheating. He's cheating with the hacks. His hacks are OP. Oh, stretch. Stretch if you haven't stretched yet. I can't sit still. I need to stretch. I pushed the button. There we go. Woo, let's go. And oh snap, there we go. That's crazy that you have to keep falling through each one of these with all the blocks. Look at Evie. Comfy Evie. Michigan, are you all comfy? Comfy cozy? I'm trying to think of what snacks I have in the house. I've been trying to get back to like where there is no snacks and I'm back to eating healthy food. Trying. But then I'm gonna go make cookies for work this week. So if I'm up to it, if I'm up to making cookies for work, I'll stream it. GG Desi! Desi, Bowman, Battlecat with the points. Next map. Queen Crispy Dream. Queenly Crispy Dream. Wiggles and splints. There we go. Join exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. Exclamation play. Let's go. All right. All right, gonna hit start. 1 minute, 1 minute. One minute to get your marble on the clock. Actually, less than that. 1 minute, 1 minute. It's like 35 seconds now. Welcome back, J3. Welcome back. All right, we're gonna look at this chart. Let's look at it. Let's look. Oh, I like the heart flower thingy. They kind of look like cherry blossoms. Crispy Dream. Very flowery. Nick Dothy! Welcome to Steam! Nick Dothy made it in. I've been gaming here. I know. You've been in and out. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I'm not used to J3 being here this long. I feel special. As special. J3 who? Yeah, no. All right, it's artist's turn to get in a shout out. I gotta get everybody slowly. It's artist's turn. Click on the name. Go give artist a follow. Artist obviously does lots of art streams. Go check him out. The heartbreak you're feeling? Why? Because Michigan? Oh, sorry. Michigan's just so salty over that last golf with friends match he had with you. You know, when you got first place and he didn't. Just kidding. Actually, that last golf with friends match we probably had, I probably got first place, and I have no idea how I beat J3 because that never happens. Fighting words, yes. Tri-tip almost done. Letty's eating all the amazing foods tonight. Well, the others are already in the bowl. Did I miss it? There you go. Swimming in the pink bowl. I don't remember that. I didn't think you would. I should have clicked it. Actually, did I take screenshots? I may have sent screenshots to you. I don't remember. Who knows? Nick Dothy, Wiggles, and Bloody. GG. Super? What did it say? I missed the words. Super crowded arena. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. Exclamation play to get on the track. Tacos. More tacos from Bloody. Let's go. Your marble needs more wax. It probably does. You probably do. You probably do need more wax to make things happen, you know? All right. Play, guys. Let's go. Gonna go over here to this. Make some noise. Don't want anybody to get left behind. We have 50 seconds on the clock. Let's go. All right. This is number 6 of 7. We have one more race after this to determine the winner. One more race. That means y'all get to put up with me for one more race after this one. And then I'm going to call it because it is Monday night and I might need to think about sleeping. I do have to work tomorrow. But it has been totally fun. I love doing Monday Marble Madness. It has been a long time, and I thank you guys for being here. I didn't know if anybody would be here on a Monday because it's not my usual night. One more whole race after this one, yes. Get yourself ready. Because we're going to have to do a raid. You know that too. Then you're going to have to find somebody else's channel to get all those world record points on. I gave away all my world record points for the night already. Maybe. I can't see nothing. Where's everybody at? There you are. Everybody's hiding. Yup. This kind of reminds me of a golf course. It says crowded arena, but oh, maybe it's soccer. Maybe it's soccer or football. Looks like football. Da-da-da! Whoa, where'd you go? Oh, you get kicked through the field goal, maybe? Oh, that's cool. You land in a portal, and then you go down the sign, and then you go through the field goal. Okay, okay. This is pretty cool track. This was really thought out. Catch Pokemon! Football. I'm from the UK. Yes, it's football. Gotta say football. Football. Bloody with a win again. Holy cow. Bloody, Michigan and splits with... Bloody might be the top of the podium. Big dimensional box. Let's go. We'll have to see. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Let's go. I'm gonna find my buttons here. I'll have to pick different sounds next time I play marbles. But those are the two making me laugh tonight. All my bongo kitties left me. I just realized that. I'm alone in the bongo kitty world. Let's see, where's Lady Rain? I haven't seen Lady Rain tonight. I think Splint, I mean, Six, I think you're the only mod I've seen tonight. They just don't know when to expect me to be live. You just never know these days. I'm just random. You're special. You are special. You guys are special for finding me and being here on a Monday, which is not typical of me. All right, there to go. Let's check this one out. What do we got? Ooh, alien cannon. Alien stuff going on. Oh, it looks like a giant satellite dish. Is that what this is? It kind of looks like a giant satellite dish or something in space. It's a dimensional box is what it's called. But yeah. We're gonna go up here though, because I don't know when you guys are gonna find the finish line. I'm not quite sure. I think Wheels is in the lead. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm not sure how this maze works. I don't know where we're going. Where are we going? Where are we going? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? GG Michigan! Thanks. Michigan, Wiggles, and Bowman. Okay, we're gonna finish the Grand Prix. This is it. That was it. This is it. Who is going to be on the podium? Who is going to be the last winner of the night? Who do you want to call? I kind of think it's Bloody, even though he's not in this race. We're going to find out. Third place goes to Michigan. GG. Good job, Michigan. Thanks for all your effort. Second place goes to Bloody. Oh, he's not getting first. Is it going to be Wiggles? Is it going to be Wiggles again? Is it going to be Wiggles? Are we going to wiggle? Are we going to wiggle? We're going to wiggle. Get your wiggle on. How do you want to wiggle? I don't know. Like, I can't do that thing. I don't think I'm very wiggly. I'm pretty rigid. I don't have much wiggles to me. I don't know how to wiggle. That's about as wiggly as you're gonna get. For me, yes, GG Wiggles, you won. Congratulations. Congrats. All right, guys, you've been awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for using your hacks tonight. Thank you for playing marbles on some Marble Madness Monday shenanigans. We're gonna raid a new streamer to marbles. Just getting started. They need some help rolling. Mono, I'm out. Okay. Mono's that. You're out. Okay, I got distracted. But we were gonna go over and say hi. So you guys, please help me with some raid hype here. We're just gonna say cat raid and use whatever emotes you have. Cat raid. There we go. So start out with cat raid and then add whatever cat emotes or cookie emotes or whatever you got that you want to use to help show some support and some hype to this streamer. Came recommended tonight, so we're gonna go check them out. It's Mama Lindy. We're gonna go say hi to Mama Lindy. This one came via recommendation tonight, so we're gonna go raid Mama Lindy. Show some support. All those things. All right, raid. Ta-da! So again, if you got emotes, use them. Appreciate it. I'm gonna stack this up here to do the hype things. I'm just gonna throw in some random things here. Okay, I copied it, pasted, got myself ready, got my ducks in a row. Good night, all, and I will catch you again later this week. If not, before Friday. See you guys. Catch you next time. Bye, everyone. Good night, and thank you for everything. Thank you for the loves. Thank you for the hypes. Thank you for entertaining me. Good night.